Welcome to Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan online classes. We are doing class 12 biology, chapter number 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Today is the seventh session of this chapter, and the topics for discussion are seed, fruits, apomixis, and polyembryony. You can see that we have already completed 6 sessions, this being the last. If you have gone through all the sessions, your concept about this chapter is bound to be very clear. At the end of this chapter, you will be able to describe a typical seed, you will be able to understand and appreciate the concept of significance of seed dormancy. You should be able to differentiate between true and false seed. You should be able to describe the process of apomixis and its importance. Also, to describe the process of polyembryony and its importance. So this is by any means a very important unit. So let us continue with it. Some information you already have, like you know about the structure of the flower, different terms associated, you know about the structure of the ovary, you know the pollen grain and how pollination takes place. Flowers always cherish us. They're culturally, socially, religiously, aesthetically so very important to us and finds way in our home, in our life in every possible way. Let us start with the topic. Let us discuss about seed. How do you define a seed? Seed is the part of the plant which can grow into new plant. It is reproductive structure which disperses, can survive for some time. A typical seed includes 3 basic parts: an embryo, a supply of nutrient for the embryo, and the seed coat. The seeds are a product of ripened ovary. After fertilization by pollen and some growth within the mother plant, the embryo is developed from zygote and seed coat from intubement of the ovule. The mature seed may be non-albuminous or it can be albuminous. In preceding session, we had discussion about albuminous and ex-albuminous seed. That is, during the process of development, if the endosperm which is produced, in case they are totally consumed in the mature seed, you call it ex-albuminous seed. And in case the endosperm is persistent, that's not totally consumed, and the mature seed endosperm is present, you call it albuminous seed. Another very important term to remember. You remember that during the production of the ovule, initially it was the nucellus. From nucellus developed the embryo sac, and nucellus function is also nutritive. But in some plant, the nucellus remains persistent. Some amount of a residual persistent nucellus is present. You call it perisperm. For example, black pepper and wheat. If you break open a black pepper seed, you will see a white papery thing, that is the perisperm. We should also know that from the ovule, which part is going to develop into what thing into the seed. The intubement of the ovule, they become hardened, tough, and form the protective cover of the seed. That's the seed coat. The micropyle remains as a small pore in the seed coat. If you take a typical seed and observe it, you will find a small pore at one of the end. That is the micropyle of the ovule. This facilitates entry of oxygen and water in the seed during germination. As the seed matures, its water content is reduced and becomes relatively dry. Only 10 to 15% of the moisture by mass is left. Only then the seed can be stored for some period of time. We call it the dry seeds. The general metabolic activity of the embryo slows down. The embryo may either be in a state of inactivity called as dormancy, or if favorable conditions are available, adequate moisture, oxygen, suitable temperature, they may germinate. This is where I would like to discuss a little bit beyond the topic that has been given in your book. I am going to introduce another term. I call it quiescence. How it is different from dormancy. Dormancy is a condition in which you give all the favorable condition, like you do some experiment, you take a tray, fill it with water, put water in it, it has got its nutrient, place the seed. And if the seed still fails to grow, it is in a state of dormancy. And you take some seed, put on the tabletop without soil, water, anything, you will see the seed do not germinate. That is, it is a state of quiescence. Quiescence is governed by external or exogenous factor. Means the seed failed to germinate because of exogenous factor, that is quiescence. But if the seed fails to germinate because of endogenous factor within the seed, we call it dormancy. They are of extreme significance. Extreme significance. Why? Because you know that flower production starts at the beginning of the favorable season, fruit formation and seed formation at the end of the favorable season. If the seed will start to germinate, then it encounters unfavorable condition and it is highly vulnerable to the external factors. So, its survival may be at stake. So, the plants have evolved and develop adaptation in such a way that the seeds undergo a state of inactivity, we call it dormancy, so that it rests for the period of unfavorable condition. So when favorable condition will be there, only then they will germinate. There are so many different reasons why dormancy may be induced. It can be because of very tough, resistant seed coat, or maybe some waxy deposition like suberin may be there, which do not allow water to come in, which help in the germination of the seed. Or it may be because of hormonal factor like abscisic acid, which is present inside the seed, which won't allow the seed to germinate. Even phenolic acid, short chain fatty acid, turmeric acid, these chemicals also inhibit the seed to germinate immediately. That is, that they induce dormancy. Suppose you have to allow this seed to germinate. There are simple things that can be done. If the seeds are soaked in water for a long period of time, then the seed cover becomes soft. Water may enter inside and the seed may start germinating. Or there is a process called as scarification. On a rough surface, in case a tough seed is rubbed, then the outer cover becomes very thin, or maybe scars may be developed. Then when you put in water, water can go inside and dormancy can be induced. Or even gibberellic acid treatment can be given, hormone. So it induced germination of the seed. There are so many different ways, like I told you, that dormancy can be removed. But then what is the importance of dormancy for the seed? Seeds can be stored. That is number one. During the process, they fail to germinate, that allow dispersal of the seed. For example, under a mango tree, when the mango falls, the seed is just below the mother plant. In case it don't get the adequate dispersal mechanism, maybe because of bird, maybe because of animal, because of abiotic factor, then the sapling that will grow just under the mother plant, it will compete with space for sunlight, for water, for nutrient, and chances of survival of the sapling is very less. So dispersal of seed is possible because of the phenomena of dormancy. As ovule mature in the seed, the ovary develops into the fruit. Now, when you talk about fruit, we imagine a fruit with a seed inside. But then we have to discuss about the concept called as parthenocarpy. Fruits are the result of fertilization. But there are few species in which fruits develop without fertilization. Means fruit formation will take place, but seed formation won't take place. Such fruits are called parthenocarpic fruits. Banana is a very good example. All of you have consumed banana. You have not seen seeds inside. But sometimes when you cut open a banana, then you find that there are some black spots. They were nothing else but dried ovules. They are not seeds. Of course, there are some variety of banana where seed production does take place. So parthenocarpy can be induced through application of growth hormone, and such fruit are seedless. This is a major research area in agronomy where seedless variety of fruits are being developed. Let us now talk about seeds. What are the advantages of seed for the angiosperm? Firstly, since reproductive processes such as pollination and fertilization are independent of water, seed formation is more dependable. Secondly, seeds have better adaptive strategies for dispersal to new habitat and help the species to colonize in other areas. A plant, because of gravity, the seed will fall just below the. In case the dispersal is not taking, then survival and colonization will not happen. Thirdly, as they have sufficient food reserve, the young seedlings are nourished until they are capable of photosynthesis of their own. Fourthly, the hard seed coat provides protection to the young one. You might have seen tamarind seed, they're quite tough. Lastly, being product of sexual reproduction, they generate new genetic combination leading to variation. These are the advantages of seed for the angiosperm. Let us have some discussion on fruit too. All of us have taken fruit in some way or other. How do you define? Fruit is a mature, ripened ovary. Along with the content of the ovary, the fruit is the ovule-bearing reproductive structure of the plant flower. The wall of the ovary develops into the wall of the fruit. You call it pericarp. So pericarp is a character of fruit. In case you have seen the diagram of maize, maize is both a seed as well as a fruit because the maize has got a pericarp, but at the same time it has got endosperm too. It has got scutellum too. So that is how it is both a seed and a fruit. The fruits may be fleshy or may be dry. Many fruits have evolved mechanism for dispersal of the seeds. Like coconut, intercontinental dispersal can happen from one island to another island. Through water it can disperse. Let us have a discussion on true and false fruits also. A true fruit can be defined as the fruit which is formed from the fertilized ovary of the flower. For example, mango, kiwi, blueberry, etc. But what's about a false fruit? A false fruit is defined as the fruit which is formed from ripened ovary along with some other part of flower like the base of the receptacle, the perianth, maybe the thalamus or the inflorescence as a whole. For example, of false fruit, like for cashew nut, they develop from the peduncle. The apple, pear, gourd, cucumber, they develop from the thalamus. So that these are very good example of false fruits. You can see diagram of apple. Actually, the part that we eat, actually it is nothing else but a false fruit. The edible part is the thalamus. Here in case of strawberry also, the edible part is thalamus. Let us now discuss something about viability of seeds. Means, from once the seed is formed, how long they can wait till a new plant they can form. That period is called as viability of seed. Seeds of a large number of species live for years to several hundreds of years. There are several records of very old yet viable seeds. One very good example or the oldest example is that of a lupine, Lupinus arcticus. This Lupinus arcticus has been excavated from Arctic tundra. The seed germinated and flowered after an estimated record of about 10,000 years of dormancy. Can you imagine? 10,000 years. And a recent example is of a 2000 years old viable seed of date palm, khajur. Phoenix dactylifera, discovered during the archaeological excavation of King Harold's palace near the Dead Sea. So, 10,000 years, 2,000 years is quite a long time for the seed to remain viable. Now let us discuss about another very, very important topic. The topic is apomixis. What is the meaning of the term apomixis? Apomixis, you can split the term. Apo means without, mixis means mixing. Means it is a mode of reproduction which do not involve formation of zygote through gametic fusion. We know pollen has to fertilize, only then the egg is fertilized and embryo has to be produced. But in this case it is not happening. fertilization do not take place. It is similar to asexual reproduction. It is caused by gene present in the plant, you call them the apomec gene. In plants, apomec seeds commonly mimics sexual reproduction. This is a very quotable quote. In the exam, this line can be given with inverted comma, can be asked justify. Let us try to understand this. In plant, apomixis commonly mimics sexual reproduction but produce seed without fertilization. What is sexual reproduction? In which two parents are involved. Gamete production does take place and fusion of gamete has to take place. Here also, two parents can be there, gamete production is there, only thing is that fusion of gamete is not happening, so it is mimicking sexual reproduction to a certain degree. But fertilization is not taking place, that is where it is differing from sexual reproduction and it is similar to asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one of the parent is enough. Here also, only one, means without fertilization, there is development of embryo. Some species of Asteraceae and grass develops by apomixis. It is the formation of seed that has an embryo formed without meiosis and syngamy. Syngamy is fusion of gamete, if you can recall. The cells of the embryo sac are diploid. It can happen. Embryo sac, if you can recall, in the ovule, the embryo sac is there. They are diploid as it is formed directly from a nucellar cell. You remember the primary sporial cell divides into primary, outer primary cell wall and inner primary, that is a sporogenous cell, you call it the megaspore mother cell. In case, and then it undergoes meiosis to form a linear tetrad. In case that meiosis were to fail, then the diploid megaspore mother cell will result in the production of an embryo sac where all the cells are diploid. And the seed without fertilization that will be formed from any of the cell of the embryo sac, it is bound to be diploid. The diploid egg as well as the other diploid cell of the embryo sac can grow into normal embryo. Please focus on this statement. The diploid egg as well as the other diploid cells of the embryo sac. Remember, now it is an unusual condition in which meiosis has failed, only mitosis has taken place. So antipodals are there, synergids are there, egg cell is there, polar, because they have been produced because of mitosis, not meiosis, as a result of which they are all diploid. So any of the cell, they are capable of producing an embryo. So formation of embryo directly from a diploid egg without fertilization is called diploid parthenogenesis. Example, ribose, apple, etc. Another very interesting phenomena that happens is sporophytic budding. You have to keep in the mind the structure of the ovule. Ovule, you remember, it has got intubement, it has got nucellus, and inside which embryo sac is present. There are 7 cells, if you can recall. And outside, the cells which are present, they are also, remember the entire thing is otherwise diploid. Nucellus, intubement, they are all diploid. So in case the nucellar cell bursts inside or intubement cell bursts inside the embryo sac and that grows into the embryo, then the phenomenon is called sporophytic budding. An embryo develops directly from a diploid cell other than the egg, like that of nucellus, intubement. They can enter inside the embryo sac and grow into embryo. Like in case of citrus, opuntia, that's cactus. This can happen. It may lead to polyembryony. All the cells of the embryo sac if you can recall, it has got synergid, antipodal, and they are all capable of producing embryo. So more than one cell may be involved in production of the embryo. So more than one embryo is nothing else but polyembryony. In some varieties of plant, some of the nucellar cells surrounding the embryo start dividing, protrude inside the embryo sac and develop into the embryo. In such species, each ovule contains many embryo. Occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed is referred as polyembryony. For example, citrus fruit. I'll show you a diagram. This is orange, and then you can see the seed of the orange. Once it has germinated, you can see more than one plant growing. So more than one embryo was present which has germinated. So it is showing polyembryony. Let us have some idea about what is the significance of apomixis. You are thinking about a farmer. A farmer is purchasing high yielding variety of seeds and sowing in the field. You remember high yielding variety of seeds are quite expensive. Because high yielding variety, why high yielding variety? Because they are hybrid seeds, and hybrid seed the productivity is high. Increased productivity is the concept. But they are costly too because they are produced. Now suppose they have grown the crop in the field, collect the seeds, reserve some seed and again plant it back in the field. There is chance that their productivity will go down. Why? Because it is sexual reproduction, right? So there will be segregation and they do not maintain hybrid character. So in case they need to have high productivity, then they will again have to purchase the very costly hybrid seeds. Because production of hybrid seed is costly and the cost of hybrid seed become too expensive for the farmer once they have to purchase it regularly. But hybrid apomix seeds can be used by farmer and it is very economical because apomixis is a phenomena where fertilization is not happening. So there is no segregation. So in case apomix seeds are there, having high yielding quality, their seed can be sown in the field. Once the crop will grow, they can collect these seeds and again replant. They don't have to purchase the costly hybrid seeds again and again. So it has opened up a horizon of new research. If these hybrid seeds are made into apomix, there is no segregation of character of hybrid progeny, and farmer can keep on using the hybrid seeds, apomix seeds, to raise new crop year after another year, and there does not have to buy hybrid seeds every year, which is very costly. So saves a lot of money and prevent the segregation of character. They will have the desired character every year. Because of the importance of apomixis in hybrid seed industry, active research is going on in many laboratories around the world to understand the genetics of apomixis and to transfer apomix gene into hybrid varieties. So it is the apomix gene that you need to remember. Let us recapitulate this session. What is a seed? They are the product of a ripened ovary after fertilization by pollen and some growth within the mother plant. The embryo is developed from the zygote and the seed coat from the enchokment of the ovule. What is the difference between true and false fruit? A false fruit is defined as the fruit which is formed from the ripened ovary along with some other part of the flower like the base of a receptacle, the perianth, thalamus, inflorescence and calyx. But a true fruit is ripened ovary. Let us understand the process of apomixis and its importance. Apo means without and mixis means mixing. It is a mode of reproduction which does not help formation of zygote through gametic fusion. So fertilization do not take place. All the cells of the embryo sac are diploid as it is formed directly either from a nucellar cell. Once the nucellus by sporophytic budding or enchokment cell by sporophytic budding it can come inside. We call it apospore or diploid megaspore mother cell. Megaspore mother cell, you remember, it was diploid. By meiosis, a linear tetrad was produced. Then there was polygonum type of development with one cell was resulted into 3-time mitosis to produce 8 cells of the embryo sac where they were all haploid. In case this meiosis do not take place and the megaspore mother cell by repeated mitosis produce the cell of the embryo sac, then diploid megaspore embryo sac will be formed and all the seeds will become, embryo will become diploid. Understand the process of polyembryony and its importance. Occurrence of more than one embryo in the seed is referred as a polyembryony. For example, citrus fruit. And what is the importance? More than one plant can be obtained per unit seed. Please solve this question now with me. Try to solve. Polyembryony is seen in all flowering plants, whether it's true or false. Apomixis is the phenomena of producing seeds without fertilization in flowering plant. True or false? Parthenocarpy and apomixis are one and the same. True or false? Plant breeders use the ability of apomixis to produce hybrid seed of their choice. And some plant produce apomix seeds naturally. Whether it's true or false. Name one fruit that shows parthenocarpy. Name the gene that induce apomixis in plants. Occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed is referred as fill in the blanks. In black pepper and beet, remnant of nucellus are persistent. The residual persistent nucellus is called dash. You have to fill in the blank. You have to categorize the seed based on persistence and absence of endosperm. Pea, groundnut, wheat, maize, barley, castor, sunflower. And these are the solutions. Once you try it, compare your answer to find out whether you have achieved correct answer or not. So naturally, some takeaway work for your home. Describe the different type of seed based on presence and absence of endosperm. Give 2 examples of each one of them. Define the following term giving suitable example. Parthenocarpy, perisperm, pericarp, dormancy. What do you mean by apomixis? Give 2 examples. What are the advantage of apomix seeds? Name the gene responsible for apomixis. I have given one link for online test. Please copy this and paste it in the menu, and it will open and appear in the test. I have given you certain links for additional information and a video link that you can click and observe the YouTube video, where your concept about the topic will become much more clear. Thank you for viewing. This is a ZIT Bhubaneswar presentation. Keep watching, and I think you have been benefited from the 7 sessions that have been developed for this particular